This is question number 26 on the June 2014 non-calculator paper. Question 26 is a proper A-star question. You need to make sure that if you're aiming for the top grade, you're familiar with the sine curve and the cos curve. The sine curve, we said the diagram shows part of the sketch of a sine curve. The sine curve, y is equal to sine x, does have that shape, but you need to know what the values are. You need to be able to label them, and you need to know that it goes up to 1 and it goes down to -1. And this is a whole cycle of the sine curve. At this point here, where it goes up to 1, this is 90 degrees. Sine of 90 degrees gives you 1. And then it goes up in sections of 90 all the way to the end. Sine of 180 is 0. Sine of 270, so if I move up 90, that gives me -1, and then sine of 360, that's 0. So now for part A and B, I just need to read off the graph along the corridor up the stairs and just write in my answers. So they've said write down the coordinates of the point P. Point P is over there along the corridor to 180, and I don't need to move up or down because it is 0, so 180, 0. That's my answer to part A. Part B, write down the coordinates of Q. So along the corridor all the way to 270 and then down to -1. So 270 and then down to -1. Now this is a pretty straightforward question. If you know what the graph looks like, you could remember it, you'll definitely be able to pick up those 2 marks. Okay, let's look at part C. In part C, they say here is a sketch of the curve y is equal to a cos bx plus c. And you want to know, right, what a, b, and c, or the question wants you to work out what a, b, and c are. What I'm first going to do is I'm going to think about the graph of cos of x. Now before, in part A, we were asked to talk about the graph of sine of x. Now cos of x goes up in a similar cycle, and it looks very similar. It works between 1 and -1, and these sections of 90 degrees also apply. So this is the shape of the cos curve. That's 90, that's 180, that's 270, and that's 360. And that's one cycle. So there are a couple of things that you need to know and that are going to help us work out what A, B, and C are. First of all, how many cycles are there in this section here? This is one cycle. So if I think about this, that's one cycle, that is another cycle, and that is the third cycle. So there are 3 cycles altogether. The number of cycles is the number in front of the B. So that is going to be 3 because there are 3 cycles. My whole graph has, and it's called an amplitude. The whole amplitude is going from 1 to -1. So in this case, it's 2. The amplitude of this graph is going to be 2 altogether. This particular graph, its amplitude, it's going to go from 3 to -1. Its amplitude is 4. Okay, so what have I times cos x by? So this is cos x. What have I times it by to give me an amplitude of 4? To take it from 2 to 4, that means I would have times it by 2. And therefore, A is going to be 2 because I've times the whole thing by 2. If I actually times this by 2, right, the graph would not go from 3 to -1 as it is, but it would go up to 2 and down to -2. Okay, so the whole thing has actually been moved up. It's been moved up to 3 and up to -1. In fact, if you think about it, if you add 1 to here and add 1 to here, that means the whole thing moves up 1. So that means C, the thing that I've added to the whole expression, right, means that it's just going to go up 1. So C means +1. And those are my values. My answer is going to be y is equal to A, which is 2, cos, and because there are 3 cycles, 3x plus, and I've moved it all up 1, so +1, and that's my answer. So therefore A is 2, B is 3, and C is 1. Okay, this is not straightforward. It is an A-star topic, an A-star question. Make sure you do understand it. There are 5 marks up for grabs in this question. Make sure you can do it and get them all.